USA.com.
On strike, more than 9,000 union workers in Philadelphia, members of AFSCME District Council 33, walking out at midnight after failing to reach a new contract with the city. Local President Greg Boulware.
We're going to stand pat until we get a raise and wages that meet the demands for what it requires to live inside the city of Philadelphia.
Mayor Sherrell Parker says the city is committed to reaching a fair and fiscally responsible contract. 4 weeks later, and a city election in suburban Houston has been settled with a coin toss.
After a runoff election and a recount, incumbent Pasadena, Texas City Council member Bianca Valerio and challenger Bruce Lehman each had 272 votes. Under state law,
candidate Lehman has agreed that candidate Valerio will call the toss, heads or tails.
Valerio called heads and won. Pasadena Mayor Pro Tem Ruben Villarreal says there's a civics lesson to be learned here.
One person voting either way would have had a clear winner. Our votes count.
Jim Ryan, ABC News.
The latest Labor Department report shows job openings unexpectedly rose during the month of May. 7.8 million openings were posted by employers, up from 7.4 million in April. The report also shows more Americans quitting their jobs, fewer layoffs, and a drop in hiring. Lululemon has filed a lawsuit against Costco, claiming that Costco is selling dupes of some of its products at lower prices. No immediate response yet from Costco. I'm Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's now 5:05 on this hot Tuesday afternoon, and with your KVNU News headlines, I'm Will Fiore. Well, new fire restrictions are in effect now for northern Utah, weeks after similar restrictions went into effect for the southern part of the state. Now, the new limitations began over the weekend on Sunday. Officials with the Utah Department of Natural Resources announced that all unincorporated private and state lands are now placed under Stage 1 fire restrictions. Now, new Cache County Fire Chief Brady George told KVNU that the restrictions come as Cache Valley temperatures have been in the mid-90s.
The lack of rain that we've had consistently now for a few weeks has really led to those fuels drying out, and it's presenting quite a hazard. Those tall grasses that we spend time wandering through as we hike and explore the backcountries present a very real fire danger, not only to the mountainsides, but as well as to the homes that live in that wildland-urban interface.
Now, the National Weather Service has already issued several red flag warnings as dry temperatures and low humidity is continuing to be in the forecast. Now, George said that the restrictions apply to all unincorporated private and state lands, while cities and the U.S. Forest Service has their own restrictions. Now, he explained that the restrictions are basic common sense ways to prevent a fire.
We can't have any fires of any type outside of an approved and permanently constructed fire pits in those areas. There can't be any smoking except in very authorized specific positions. No cutting, welding, or grinding in those places. If you're going to go out and explore with an ATV or a UTV, we ask that that has a working and intact spark arrestor on there. And then finally, and sadly, based upon this time of year, no fireworks, no tracer ammunition, and no other pyrotechnic devices of any kind in those unincorporated areas.
Now, the restrictions are being enforced by county law enforcement. Violations can result in fines and possible incarceration. A tragic story out of Ely, Nevada. 2 White Pine High School students were killed in a single vehicle crash that happened Friday morning along US 50. Now, the White Pine County Sheriff's Office reported a vehicle was carrying 6 occupants and crashed at about 5:10 a.m. just near the west side of town. Now, 2 juveniles died at the scene. The other 4 occupants were transported to a nearby hospital. Now, officials have not identified those involved or classified the circumstances leading up to the accident. Now, in response to the tragedy, though, the local school district is providing grief support to high schoolers and staff. And convicted killer Lori Vallow Daybell has spoken publicly for the first time since her sentencing in a chilling jailhouse interview that was released yesterday by East Idaho News. Now, Daybell is serving multiple life sentences for the murders of her children, 16-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old Joshua Vallow. Now, her case also involves her now husband, Chad Daybell, who is on death row. Now, in a 40-minute interview that was recorded last Thursday on her 52nd birthday, reporter Nate Eaton directly questioned Daybell about the horrific crimes. Now, when confronted with the fact that her children's remains were found on Chad Daybell's property and that Tylee's body was dismembered and burned, Daybell responded that is all mixed up facts that are wrapped around a lot of untruths. Now, she also denied a previous theory that her daughter Tylee had killed JJ and then committed suicide. Daybell said that she is not here to change anyone's mind, but she never hurt anyone in her entire life. Now, she also attributed her current incarceration to what she called God's purpose. Now, Daybell also revealed that she's writing a book to tell her version of the events in which she extensively blames her daughter, Tylee. Now, she faces another sentencing in Arizona coming up July 25th for her role in separate conspiracy and murder cases. Well, it's been a hot afternoon as we've been in the mid-90s with clear skies, and looks like these clear skies are going to continue into tomorrow as we'll start to see a small chance of some isolated showers and thunderstorms. Tomorrow's highs expected to be in the low 90s, and then 80s will be headed our way for Thursday and Friday. So it looks like we'll finally get a little bit of relief from these temperatures. And it's Triton Medical Supply and Transportation that brings you our weather as part of the news here at the top of the hour. When it comes to top quality medical soft goods like incontinence supplies and oxygen needs, contact Triton Medical Supply and Transportation online at mytritonsupply.com. And with your KVNU News headlines on this Tuesday afternoon, I'm Will Feelright.
Roof Rescue is your local roof specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
When news breaks, we break in. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Chim Chimney Fireplace loves to help people make it through the winter and stay warm. Believe it or not, they even help people love the wintertime, but they also love summer because it's the best time to buy a Fireplace Extraordinaire gas fireplace. And now the best brand in the industry has electric fireplace options as well. To celebrate, Chim Chimney is offering free installation through August on any Fireplace Extraordinaire electric fireplace. They also have amazing deals on previous year models. See their newly remodeled showroom in Logan or find them online at chimchimney.com.
Join us each week for Music and the Spoken Word, featuring the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, the longest-running continuous weekly network broadcast in the world. Each episode features modern and traditional arrangements of spiritual, classical, and contemporary music and a timely, inspiring message. Truly an uplifting program that will have you returning to each week. Music and the Spoken Word with the Tabernacle Choir.
Sunday mornings at 8 and again in the afternoons at 6 on News Talk KVNU.
For the people. Started the show at 90 here in hour 2, 5:11 in the afternoon. It is just a cool, breezy 88 degrees now at the Radio Ranch. It's going to get a little bit warmer and then a little bit cooler. So we'll get a little bit of a break from this. But yeah, the ACs are working hard out there, and it's probably going to stay that way for a bit. Coming up this hour, we have some surprising data on city growth in Utah. And I'm going to run the risk of offending some people if you have family in some of these cities. None of them, some of them here in Cache Valley in northern Utah, but the ones that I'm going to show the most surprise at their growth are not here. But just a really surprising report on city growth and which cities are growing the fastest here in Utah. I would not expect it, and there is a lot of room for speculation on what maybe this is all about. But we'll talk about that. We'll break it down in a little bit. But I just wanted to point everyone to this. This is on everybody's mind, I know, here in Utah, housing prices in general, but rarely do you see housing prices broken down so specifically. And a Seattle-based brokerage firm, now they did this for the nation, but Utah's numbers got the most attention because it stood out. The company's called Redfin, and they specialize as a brokerage firm in investment and pitching sales of condominiums, townhomes. And what they found was kind of surprising. And when they looked at the entire nation, they found that, what they want to know is why. But they found that the Salt Lake City metropolitan area, the downtown, well, not downtown, but the city of Ogden specifically, and Logan were some of the most reasonable, not necessarily low because nothing's low right now, but were some of the most reasonable purchase prices for townhomes and condominiums in the nation. And again, prices aren't low. Median sales price for a condo, though it's down almost 5% nationally, it's still in the state of Utah, it's still statewide. The average is still about $350,000, which is a lot higher than it was 5 years ago, and even more than 10 years ago. But Redfin reported in their published report today that the price in Utah is slightly below what condos are selling for nationwide. And so then they wanted to know more. So they came to the state of Utah with this, and they started talking with state leaders, economists. They met with HOAs here in Utah and more. And what they found basically is that the condo market right now heavily favors buyers. And that shift happened in May. It's been very recent. But as to why it's Salt Lake, Ogden, and Logan, there are a lot of questions on that that can't directly be answered. But the guess is in Utah, in these areas specifically, there are 83% more condo sellers than buyers. And that was for the year. And there are 28% more sellers than buyers in the single-family home market. So both markets, single-family home and townhome markets for sales, both environments, there are more sellers than buyers. But in the condo world, there are far more sellers than buyers. So Redfin said there are many condo owners who are trying to offload their properties, and they attribute this a lot to, a couple of different things: rising HOA fees, but primarily insurance costs. Soaring insurance costs are some of the Homeowners Association's biggest concerns as well. And Deseret News, reporting on Redfin's report today, said that when you look at other states, Redfin points out that Florida, for example, new regulations put in place after the collapse of a 12-story condo building in 2021 just outside of Miami, and Florida, of course, being a bit hurricane prone, they're sort of the epicenter of what Redfin calls the slump. Prices and sales down over 30% in some areas. Basically, it went too far in the other direction, and now no one's buying. And so that's motivating sellers, of course, in other areas, or what is motivating sellers in other areas is actually working against sellers in places like Florida. Condo sales nationwide, townhomes were down 11% over the year, at May 2024 to May 2025, according to Redfin's report. And that is quite a difference from the previous year, where there was only a 3.7% decline. And then also in that same year period, there was only a 3.2% decline in single-family home sales. So sales for both are at their lowest level year over year they went back to 2022 basically on that one. And said the lowest point, of course, was during the pandemic, but it climbed back up quickly and then hovered at a low point. Now it's recovering a bit. And the Salt Lake City area, for example, there was a 22% decrease in the number of condos sold year over year, May 24 to 2022, 23, 24. And then the 13th highest decline among more than 60 major metropolitan areas. So again, this is a good time to buy a condo. Maybe not the best time to be trying to sell a condo. How does this all relate to our overall housing picture? Well, one of the ways this could change the condo market, and this is what has even the governor. So Governor Cox set a goal of adding 35,000 starter homes here in Utah by 2028. That was a goal he put in his budget. The legislature took that and kind of ran with it with some funding and some incentives for construction and more. And the idea of building these starter condos, these starter townhomes that are great for a newlywed couple, maybe with no kids yet, or maybe even a new couple with one child. Eventually, they're going to need a larger home. Eventually, maybe they're going to want a yard and a dog. But at first, a townhome is perfect for them. And that is something unaffordable in Utah right now. So far, about 5,000 starter homes have been built under this governor goal, Spencer Cox's goal, and he called it Utah First Homes. He started the initiative in 2023. They ramped it up a bit in the legislative session earlier this year, and it's still ongoing, but just about 5,000 so far built. The goal of 35,000 long off, but a few years to get there still. And Utah officials are looking at this report from Redfin today and saying, what can we do about this? There's a surplus of both single-family homes and condos, townhomes that are on the market or being put on the market here in Utah. Prices here in Utah are lower than the national average, so they're actually getting gobbled up at a quicker rate. But everything is still moving too slowly. And then at the same time, we do have this housing shortage, which is kind of contradictory. You've got more condos up for sale than are being purchased. You've got less, but still significant number of single-family homes going up for sale than are being purchased. And yet we have a housing shortage. We have more people looking for a home than there are homes for sale. The answer to that, basically, the Redfin report concludes that prices remain far too high. And that's causing people to hold off. It's a really interesting way to get there, but it's also really illuminating. If you want to learn more about Utah's housing crunch, why prices are where they're at, why we have a housing shortage, while at the same time we have more homes up for sale, both townhome style and single family, than there are buyers, and yet we can still have a housing shortage, how all of that works, it's all kind of spelled out in some nice graphics as well by the Redfin report. So check it out. Some interesting dynamics in Utah's housing market. And also, by the way, lawmakers expect this to get a little bit worse. As you look at demographics and the number of people who are going to be interested in a home, roughly those who are maybe starting college or coming out of college is what they usually look at. It is a tough environment for them. And the belief is that's going to lead a lot of people to either, if it's an option for them, staying home. Sharing space with the extended family is a more common thing here in Utah these days, and just basically sitting on their wallets until the market's better or they find something they absolutely have to have, and that's going to further compound the housing prices as well. So what they can do about this policy-wise, well, it's the same debate lawmakers have had for years. Who knows? They're pretty limited on what they can do other than incentivizing construction with the goal of getting so much supply out there, the prices kind of have to drop. We'll see if it works. But again, the Redfin report at least hinting that Utah lawmakers may be on the right track with this one. Just looking at townhome prices and the number of sellers versus the number of buyers, all the new construction may actually be helping bring the prices down. But if it's too successful, like it was in Florida, because of hurricanes, not policy, then you have insurance prices going up and too many homes at too high of prices sitting there waiting for a buyer. and people staying in apartments or even staying home rather than make the purchase. It's a pretty stark picture painted. The Redfin report and the Deseret News story reporting on the report, I've linked to both on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
Discover the comfort of outdoor living this year with a project by Canyon Landscaping. Fresh seasonal planting beds, a custom paver patio perfect for barbecues, and subtle landscape lighting to keep the party going long after sunset, or a place to relax after a long day. Every project is designed around how you live. Professionally installed, on budget and on time. Ready to create the perfect outdoor space? Visit canyonlandscaping.com to view the gallery. Canyon Landscaping. Look for the leaf.
Where's my glasses? My contacts are hurting my eyes.
Your busy life does not have to be limited by blurred vision or the hassle of contacts and glasses. Hi, this is Dr. Landon Karen. I am a board-certified ophthalmologist with Northern Utah Eye Center. I am excited to announce that we are now offering LASIK eye surgery. LASIK eye surgery doesn't just change your vision, it changes your life. Visit northernutaheyecenter.com or call 752-2020 to schedule your free LASIK consult today.
You're gonna love what you see.
One smile is great, but one smile in a community of smiles is so much better. Smile Train celebrates the cleft lip and palate community by empowering medical professionals in over 70 countries to perform essential cleft care in their local communities. Learn how Smile Train is helping the cleft lip and palate community at smiletrain.org/learn. Smile Train, changing the world one smile at a time.
Hey business owners, are you frustrated with your workers' comp rates? This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. As an independent auto owners agency, we work with multiple carriers and will give you options. Our experienced agents are ready to answer your questions and help you navigate these options. Let us help you find the workers' comp policy that's right for your business. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. If you own firearms, it's your responsibility to make sure they're always stored safely. Hiding them in a closet or drawer is not enough. Kids know where they are. Research shows the risk of injury and death is lower if guns are stored unloaded and locked up, with the ammunition locked in a separate place. This is important when children are young, as well as when they grow into teenagers. For more, talk with your pediatrician or visit healthychildren.org.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. As a self-imposed Friday deadline looms, we're keeping tabs on President Trump's tax and spending bill as it struggles its way through Congress. Also, younger Americans are redefining what success means. Hear what they're pursuing instead of lofty titles and big salaries. And credit card strategies from a man who optimizes his whole life. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. I had a listener ask about this via text, and so we'll just quickly touch on this. A listener apparently had visited the Golden Spike area and noticed some construction, and they were curious what's going on. It is the Giant Golden Spike Project. This is the Golden Spike State Monument located at roughly 2000 West Forest Street in Brigham City, way out there. And it's starting to take shape. And so, yeah, you're seeing some of the construction and even the landscaping going on out there. I've only seen photos, but a listener drove past and wanted to know what was going on. So here's the answer. What is going to be, in the end, a 4.5-acre landscaped area with several different structures. And the goal is this will be finished by late summer. This is on land owned by Brigham City, so outside of the actual monument, but attached, if that makes sense. And Brigham City owned 8 acres of ground, and the monument is being built on that 8 acres. And the remaining bit of land they're going to leave as wetlands as part of an offset. and a little extra boost for the migratory wild birds in the area. So, but this is an area that has just kind of been a little patchy sagebrush area for a long time, wild grass and more. And it will be the Golden Spike State Monument. And the goal is to honor the people and the work that connected that transcontinental railroad. So back on June 26th, Rod Bohm at CashValleyDaily.com has a story on this. But back on June 26th, they did a ceremony of sorts to kind of explain. The Golden Spike Foundation held a park preview, they called it. This was a big event. They had some large poster-sized renderings of what's going to be done and some illustrations for this, again, about 8 acres of property that is owned by Brigham City. But in the end, what they're building out there and what you're probably seeing, because this listener mentions a flatbed truck with a lot of tarped stuff on it sitting off the side of the road there. It's a 43-foot tall golden spike. It's a sculpture that was created by a local artist whose name I forget. But it's actually parked there now in front of the site where it will actually be, eventually stood upright as part of the monument. And it's, again, a celebration of the construction of the railroad is the goal of this. But this is from Rod's story. He writes, the sculpture gives, quote, faces to the faceless. And the goal of the sculpture is to, again, remind everybody about the laborers that were actually a part of this. And many of them actually lost their lives as part of this, multi-year construction project. But members of the Golden Spike Foundation presented this as a way for the public to kind of get to know what their end goal is, understanding there's going to be some disruption out there as the construction continues. And the panels, the presentation panels that they had for this, by the way, they're actually hanging on the chain link fence around the construction site right now if you want to go out and see them and what the ultimate goal of all this is. So that's your answer. A listener, again, had headed out there and they'd seen all this construction and a lot of flatbed trucks with tarped stuff on them, as the listener says in their text. That's what it is, the Golden Spike sculpture and the Golden Spike Foundation working on what will, in the end, be the Golden Spike State Monument. And it's taking shape, as we see, again, with a completion date of late summer 2026. That's when they plan to have their official grand opening, and big ceremony settled around that as well. So Rod Bohm's story, by the way, from earlier this week on this very thing, has a couple of photos in it if you want to see some of the panels that we've described here that were part of this public presentation last week. Photos in the story at CashValleyDaily.com, and I've linked to that on our Facebook page. All right, on the other side, this caught my eye today, and as I read it, I kept thinking I've read this wrong, but new data, both new demographic data from the state, but also some just overall state-collected population growth data had some surprises in it, specifically when they got to the top 5 fastest-growing cities in Utah. Some of these won't surprise you, and some absolutely. In fact, one I still want an explanation for. I want to know why people are moving to this city. And I'm probably going to offend some people asking that, but if you've ever been there, you'll know what I mean. The top 5 fastest growing cities in Utah, some of which are in northern Utah, and you'll probably not be surprised which ones. But also how fast they're growing has state leaders saying we might not be as prepared for this as we think. We'll talk about it after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Thank you, Jason. Families say they are in shock after Brian Koberger, who's accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students, has reportedly agreed to plead guilty in exchange for avoiding the death penalty. Now, Shannon Gray, an attorney for Kaylee Gonclave's family, confirmed yesterday that prosecutors had informed the victims' families of the deal. Now, Gonclave's family expressed strong disapproval in a Facebook post, saying that they felt beyond furious with the state of Idaho and that prosecutors had failed them. Now, they also added that their efforts to push for the death penalty did not matter. Koberger, who is 30, is accused in the November 2022 stabbing deaths at a rental home near campus. Investigators say they matched his DNA to genetic material that was found on a knife sheath at the crime scene. Now, a change of plea hearing is set for tomorrow, but Gonclave's family has asked for a delay to allow more time for them to travel to Boise. Now, prosecutors in a letter to families had explained that Koberger's lawyers had sought the plea deal. They emphasized that the agreement will ensure that Koberger remains in prison for the rest of his life, avoiding decades of post-conviction appeals. In other news, the Joseph Smith Memorial Building on Temple Square has officially reopened to the public. Now, the building, a prominent landmark in downtown Salt Lake City, opened its doors yesterday after a 2.5-year renovation project. Now, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints announced that the lobby, the Gardner restaurant, and other select areas are now accessible. Now, Melody Richens, the lead interior designer, said that the goal was to create a welcoming home family room with featuring the Temple Square. Now, the Garden restaurant, formerly known as the Nauvoo Cafe, has also been redesigned with historical touches, including mosaic floor tiles that are patterned after the building's original design. Now, originally constructed in 1911 as the Hotel Utah, the building was first renovated by the church back in the early 1990s and reopened as the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, and now serves as office space and includes restaurants and offers visitor seating areas. And a civil lawsuit against former Brigham Young University quarterback Jake Retzlaff on sexual assault charges is expected to be dismissed. New court documents that were filed yesterday show that the legal teams for both Retzlaff and the plaintiff have agreed to permanently end the civil suit and are now awaiting a judge's approval. Now, the lawsuit filed back in May had accused Retzlaff of raping a woman in November 2023. Retzlaff's attorneys had consistently denied the allegations, stating that they were false and untrue. Now, this development comes as Retzlaff has reportedly announced that he is transferring from BYU. According to ESPN, he has already notified the university's athletic staff and his teammates of his intent to leave. Now, he is also reportedly facing a 7-game suspension for violating BYU's honor code. Well, temperature is going to start to cool off a little bit overnight tonight, but not much. We're going to be down to around the low 60s to high 50s overnight, with clear skies continuing overnight. A few clouds here and there. Now, we will still see a small chance of some isolated showers and thunderstorms for tomorrow and through the rest of the week, as temperatures will gradually start to cool off. Low 90s for tomorrow, then back into the 80s for Thursday and Friday. And the Cache Valley Cruise-In is bringing you our weather here at the bottom of the hour. The Cruise-In concert coming up Thursday night. Get ready to rock with bands, lit, and fuel. And if you don't have your tickets yet, stop by Cache Valley Cruise-In website, or you can also get your tickets at Lee's Marketplace. And you can win a pair of tickets by going to our Facebook page right now and signing up to win that Facebook freebie. It's facebook.com/KVNU Logan. And I'm Will Feelwright with your Tuesday afternoon news headlines.
ABC News, I'm Wayne Cabot. They agreed on all but one count, the big one, in Sean Diddy Combs' racketeering and sex trafficking trial. So the jury goes back to work in the morning. It's the racketeering part the jury's struggling with.
We have this note saying there's a partial verdict, saying that they have an unpersuadable opinion between them when it comes to that first count of racketeering conspiracy, but they have a verdict as it applies to the other 4 counts.
ABC News legal contributor Mike Buckmeyer. Speaker Mike Johnson says the Senate went a little farther than many of us would have preferred in changing the massive spending bill. Some members wanted more savings. Others say the cuts went too far. Some went home for the weekend and must fly back now with delays all across the country. Just in, President Trump says Israel is agreeable to a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza, urging Hamas to accept the deal because he said it will only get worse. In record heat at Wimbledon, Coco Gauff loses in the first round. This is ABC News.
Feeling the heat? So is your lawn. Logan Extermination's Summer Back to Green treatment helps your grass bounce back from summer stress, starting at just $45 for up to 5,000 square feet. And bugs? Nope, not this July. Get Logan Extermination's Outside General Insect Spray, regularly $75, now just $60 for up to 2,000 square feet. Just mention this ad when you schedule. Call Logan Extermination at 752-8450. Online at loganextermination.net, a division of Anderson Seed and Garden.
Photographers, take your skills to the next level with Bank of Utah's My Utah Photo Contest. Submit up to 3 original color photos of what Utah is to you. First place wins $500 and their photo featured on a billboard and Bank of Utah's annual calendar. Cash awards and calendar features will also go to second and third place and most votes. Show us what Utah is to you. Go to bankofutah.com/MyUtahContest to enter. That's bankofutah.com/MyUtahContest. Bank of Utah. Member FDIC.
I'm Elizabeth Smart. Sexual exploitation and violence are unimaginable crimes that far too many people in our communities experience. In the U.S. alone, a person is sexually assaulted every 68 seconds. Every 9 minutes, that victim is a child. It's time these numbers change. Learn more about how you can join me in the fight against child sexual exploitation at malouffoundation.org.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. If you own firearms, it's your responsibility to make sure they're always stored safely. Hiding them in a closet or drawer is not enough. Kids know where they are. Research shows the risk of injury and death is lower if guns are stored unloaded and locked up, with the ammunition locked in a separate place. This is important when children are young, as well as when they grow into teenagers. For more, talk with your pediatrician or visit healthychildren.org.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Recent crop of research in the Salt Lake Tribune today on Utah demographics and growth data. We know, backing up through all of this, we talk about it a lot here on the show, but we know that population forecasts suggest that in a lot of parts of Utah, population is going to double in the next 35, 40 years. And here in Cache Valley, not quite as bad, but still projections show about a 66% increase in our population here in Cache Valley. So a lot of planning for that, both in the transportation world, the housing world, education world. Everything. Growth affects everything. As populations grow, everything gets more complicated and a little bit more expensive, but you also have more revenue to work with. So lawmakers trying to grapple with all of that. But inside of all this growth, you have pockets. Again, as I mentioned, a lot of areas along the Wasatch Front and parts of southern Utah expected to nearly double their population in the next 30 years. In Cache Valley, projected population growth is only a 66% increase, so not quite doubling, short of doubling by quite a bit. There are pockets like that all throughout the state. And so the population estimates and the actual population materialization are of interest to policymakers. So the Kem C. Gardner Policy Institute at the University of Utah has been taking a look at this, really every quarter, but once a year they publish these new estimates and match them with actual materialized population growth. So again, forecasts and estimates can be one thing, but they can also change. As an area gets more populated, maybe the growth slows down. For example, here in Cache Valley, with a projected population growth of 66% over the next 30 years, maybe traffic gets so bad that what ends up materializing is just 45%. Now, that's still a lot, but it's 20% less than is projected. So that's why they're measuring this, to basically spend a lot of time helping lawmakers figure out where the need actually is. So Utah's capital city was on the list of top 5 fastest growing cities in Utah. That's no surprise whatsoever that Salt Lake would be on there, but there were 4 others, and they accounted for more than a third of the entire state's population growth just last year. That, again, is coming from Kem C. Gardner Institute, Policy Institute at the University of Utah. And like I said, no surprise that Salt Lake is top of the list. Fastest growing city in the state. But you also have In Salt Lake County, another city that is growing almost as fast but didn't make the top 5. That's because in both Utah County, Davis County, and Weber County, they added, in those counties at large, nearly 40,000 new residents in just a 12-month period, 2023 to 2024. And this is, again, estimated from both census data, but also some actual population surveying. And then cities, of course, track this as well with some funding from the state. So close to half of that 36,000, by the way, in those counties, in these 5 individual cities. So lawmakers obviously are going to want to know why. But here's what the data says. Again, from the Kem C. Gardner Policy Institute at the University of Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah's capital city, grew from 215,000 roughly on July 1st, 2023 to 220,000 on July 1st, 2024, based on the estimates produced through the data the state has. The Institute uses the housing unit method. If you want to know more about that, I won't go into detail on it here on the show, but it's an accepted population estimate method that is pretty accurate, not down to the exact single digit, but close enough for policymaking. And they pulled data basically from building permits. They combine building permits and even factor in, the building permit is going to house 4 people, something like that. And then they pull in census data and then any data cities have on their own population data collection. And they throw that all together and they come up with a pretty accurate look at population. So again, about 5,000 additional residents in Salt Lake City in 1 year, July 1st, 2023 to July 1st, 2024. Next on the list, now these aren't in order of growth. These are just the top 5. So next on the list, Saratoga Springs. This also doesn't surprise me. This is one of the areas in the state where the most construction has been happening. Probably more than any other area. The subdivisions, the sprawl really has been very noticeable in Saratoga Springs, and that includes about 5,000 new residents there as well. A 7% increase in 1 year from July 1st, 2024, going back to July 1st, 2023. The population of Saratoga Springs grew 7.3%. Eagle Mountain, another area where a lot of new home construction and town home construction is taking place, they grew. 2023 population was about 58,000. They had 61,000 in July 1st, 2024. So that's a 5% change roughly. American Fork, so here is where we get to the ones that surprise me. Because American Fork is not a huge city, and it's also, if you've been there, it's a fairly built-out city. At least to the extent that maybe Logan City is, meaning that it's not a huge city, and there isn't a glut of open space for housing like Saratoga Springs or Eagle Mountain. But American Fork still saw a nearly 7% population increase between 23 and 24. Now, it's a smaller city, so they only went from only 40,000 roughly to 42.9 thousand residents, 2,700 resident increase. And again, that amounts to 6.4% of their population, or 6.4% growth to their population in 1 year. That's the real kicker on this. Now, here's the one that absolutely blows me away, and I'm possibly going to offend people, but I want to know why. I've been there. I actually enjoy it. There's a really cool historic market that was tragically damaged during an earthquake here in Utah recently, and they instead of tearing it down, the community talked them into rebuilding it. I love that. But Magna. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes here, but if you've been to Magna, your first question when you hear that Magna saw nearly 8% population growth in 1 year, 2023 to 2024, the first question you should have if you've been to Magna is why? It's not a long distance from Salt Lake City, but it's not close either. It's not a long distance from Utah County and Provo area, but it's not close either. It's not on a from a geographical sense, it's not far from Tooele, but there's not a convenient way to get from Magna to Tooele. I mean, this is a town, a tiny little town, once a vibrant mining town, but no longer, that is kind of just far enough out to almost be, by most Salt Lake County residents, considered the middle of nowhere. Now, granted, the city is built out towards Magna more and more, so there's less of a gap between the subdivisions and the sprawl and Magna, but still, I want to know the specific reason why nearly 8% growth in Magna, Utah, between 23 and 24. They went from 33,000 roughly to nearly 37,000, a total increase of 2,782 residents, 7.4% change in their population in 1 year. So overall, Kem C. Gardner Institute says Utah cities accounted for about 48,000 more residents total, with 147 cities adding a combined 52,000 residents to the state's total population. And so this is interesting as well. 13 cities just kind of broke even. And 100 cities actually lost residents. Now, not a lot, but about 4,000 residents lost from 100 different cities, totaling about 4,000 resident decrease in their population. And here's where we've been talking about the wildland urban interface and the concerns about wildfire that are higher this year than ever before because we've built out so far unincorporated areas in the state. Now, this is for all 29 counties in Utah. Unincorporated areas added another combined 1,800 residents. So that means there are 1,800 additional people living out in unincorporated areas throughout the state of Utah. And again, that's for all 29 counties. 9 counties, though, lost population. And, for example, Summit County, they lost residents. So it's not across the board. Now, we're growing faster than we're losing. No city could even compare in the population decrease numbers to the other cities in population increase. So the state's population is still growing overall. But it is kind of a picture on where people are moving to and from. So you can actually search this data. Kem C. Gardner Institute and the Salt Lake Tribune put this together, a searchable database that you can find to give you an idea of how things changed. For northern Utah, some interesting additional statistics here. Tremonton grew. So now Tremonton has been dealing with growth issues for a while now, and planning for even more as they get the satellite location of the Utah Inland Port that will be up and running eventually there in the next few years. But also as they've seen growth, as the Wasatch Front grows, many of these areas, Brigham City, Tremonton, Perry, are going to be thought of and actually become functionally like suburban extensions of the Wasatch Front because they're close enough, right? And so that's happening a bit in Tremonton as well. And they're looking at building some housing to accommodate that on a more rapid basis than they'd planned. And it's kind of controversial because this is a small town that's not had to deal with these things, and suddenly they do. We spent a lot of time talking about this last year with some of the candidates and more who were running for office in Tremonton. Tremonton, though, surprisingly, saw very little population change, July 1st, 2023 to 24. About a 0.7% population increase, less than 1,000, roughly 1,000 residents change. So again, not 1,000, roughly 100 resident change. They went from 12,121 to 12,209. So that's 88 total. And again, these are estimates, so it might be off by a person or two, but 88 resident increase is all Tremonton dealt with. Perry matched them. The Box Elder County city of Perry grew by 86 residents, and Garland grew by 63 residents. Brigham City grew by 53 residents. Now, again, this is for 1 year, July 1st, 2023 to 24. And the unincorporated area of Box Elder County added an additional 52 residents. So, again, you can see this from Manaway grew by 24 over the last, or 2023 to 2024, July 1st to July 1st. Bear River City grew by 5. That's pretty specific. Elwood grew by 31. Honeyville added 20 people. Snowville added 1. I want to meet that person. The population of Snowville, Utah went from 157 in July 1st, 2023 to 158 on July 1st, 2024. Howell lost 1 resident. Portage lost 1 resident. Again, you can see this all going through all of the counties in Utah. Logan, by the way, grew by about 1,000 new residents. Nibley by about 300 new residents. Smithfield by 153 new residents. Wellsville 50. Hyde Park 36. So you can see kind of where these numbers are at. Corinne, by the way, lost 4. And Hiram grew by about 100 new residents is all, which I think for most Hiram residents is probably a surprise that it hasn't grown faster. But for unincorporated Cache County, 85 new residents, according to this data, now living in unincorporated Cache County here in northern Utah. So North Logan actually lost 94 residents over the time between July 1st, 2023 and July 1st, 2024. And it goes on and on. So, again, you can see all of this data with a cool searchable database moving all the way through the state via the Kem C. Gardner Institute and the Salt Lake Tribune publishing this today. And, it's just an interesting look at we tend to talk about population growth as this big, large projected number, but you have to remember that that projection is not equal for, every city in the state or every area in the state. And nor is it consistent year to year as well. So they break this down on a more detailed basis through the Kem C. Gardner Institute. Again, using building permit data combined with demographic data collected by the state and the federal government through census and more. They combine all that together to try and get the most accurate snapshot they can. And so the top 5 we've given you there, and also a look at how Cache Valley has grown or in some cases not grown. And again, I want to meet that one person that moved to Snowville, Utah this year. Or maybe they were born there. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see if we can do some digging. We'll be back with more of KVN News for the People right after this.
The votes are in, and the people have spoken. It's the 2025 Best of Northern Utah, presented by Alpine Cleaning and Restoration. A record-breaking number of votes decided this year's gold and silver winners. Want to see who came out on top? Pick up your free copy of the Winners Magazine at locations all over Cache Valley or online at bestofnorthernutah.com. Let's celebrate the best and support all our amazing local businesses. Shop local. Love local.
Best of Northern Utah.
You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You have to carefully monitor your health for the rest of your life. And you have an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease.
Cut. Take 2. Action.
You've been diagnosed with a new purpose, to fight for the amazing life you made for yourself. To look that risk of heart disease square in the face and say, no, not me. You've been given a new opportunity to live. Get started at NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
In today's day and age, getting the right information in a timely manner is essential, especially when it's about what's going on in your own neighborhoods, in Logan and Hiram, in North Logan and Smithfield, in Providence and Millville, in Tremonton and Preston. Knowing the truth from trusted sources should be available to everyone in our community. Cache Valley Daily is committed to being your link to local news and sports. Know what's going on in your community. Visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Wednesday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. Tudor Dixon from the fabulous state of Michigan will be in, and she will have a special guest, among others, Linda McMahon, Education Secretary in Donald Trump's administration. That will be taking place, and she will be doing a fabulous job hosting the Wednesday edition of Clay and Buck. Special guest host, Tudor Dixon. Make sure you don't miss it.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Wrapping up today's show with This is another one that I don't know if this is funny or frightening. So it's my attempt to send you into your evening with something just lighthearted and interesting. But as I think about this more and more, again, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure this is funny. So in China, a big soccer tournament was organized. And if you follow soccer at all, China's men's China's men's soccer team hasn't exactly. China's not exactly known for soccer. So on the global soccer competition stage, China barely places. But they did get a lot of attention this week for soccer because it was a tournament, not just a game. This was an actual tournament, soccer game tournament of humanoid robots. And it's very cool to see. I've linked to the video on our Facebook page, but you can also find this story via the Associated Press today. And fans, they sold more tickets to this than they'd sold for a recent actual men's soccer team soccer game. And there were, in total, 14 humanoid robot teams facing off. These are fully autonomous 3-on-3 soccer matches. And it's powered entirely by artificial intelligence. This happened over the weekend, by the way, in China's capital. And according to organizers, a key aspect of the match was that all the participating robots operated fully autonomously. So basically, a human was there to flip the power switch on each humanoid robot, and the software took it from there and competed with itself. And it's a very cool story. And as I'm reading it out loud now, I realize this is actually creepy. And I'm not sure this ends well. So I apologize. There's my attempt to send you into your evening with something pleasant to think about, and it's probably not that at all. But if you want to see the video, check it out. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. That's our time for today. Thank you for being with us. Thank you to Carter for joining us as well, and stick around. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU.